Alright, hey guys, so don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on notifications, because I am starting this YouTube channel up. We're doing a all-encompassing channel from cars to music and whatnot, you know, everything under the sun. So just kind of doing a nice little project here, getting it going. So appreciate your support. Let's get started. Alright, we're doing 5 things I love about this guy. That's kind of a popular theme with these Camaros and stuff, and it helped me kind of decide on the car in the first place when we were let me get in some good light here. So yeah, back when I was like shopping around for this car, checking out like RP Productions when he had his, which I think he should have kept his at the end of the day. I think he ended up selling it, and it like got burned up somewhere, and now he's got a ZL1, so more power to him. But as I'll kind of go over in this video, that this SS 1LE pack is kind of the Goldilocks package as far as the Camaro. You can you know, you can obviously go for the ZL1 or the ZL1 1LE, but I think this one, you know, and then the 2SS stuff as well, but I think this one kind of has all the best bang for your buck as far as the Camaro is concerned. And the Camaro is already like a performance car bargain as it is, but this one especially, you just get just a ton of what you pay for what you pay for. So anyway, let's go into the stuff I love about this guy, and yeah, we'll have some fun. First thing I love are these wheels, and these wheels on the SS 1LE are very sleek, yet harken back to the I think the IROC Camaro, when I used to see those driving around back in the day. Those had really distinct wheels as well, those like 5-spoke IROC wheels, and I think this is a kind of a an homage to those in a certain way. You know, and then it's cool because it's like this the 5-spoke thing, but then they have these flares out at the ends, and just this hollow beam, which actually make them 10-spoke wheels when you cut them in half. So yeah, just a very trick design. It's simplistic, yet it has some complexity to it. And yeah, so let's take a look at these rear ones as well here. Yeah, and these are the 305s up front, or the 285s. So these 305s, they just have that dishier look as well. The front ones are have like a nice dish kind of design as well, but these 305s even more so. And then from the back too, it just has this really kind of perfect squat to it as far as the rear wheels. When I see other just normal SS Camaros driving down the road, they don't have this wide of tire in the back, and you can tell like this is almost, I think, as wide as the ZL1 wheels, you know, so maybe just not as overkill as that, but just like a nice thick wide tire in the back. A very key highlight of a nice muscle car is having that nice ass. So yeah, with this this wheel setup, let's get both of them here in the shot. Yeah, with this wheel setup here, and you know, you got like this this is one of my favorite angles too. Let's see if I can get a nice angle here, just as far as the rear end is concerned. Just this angle on the 6th gen Camaro is like, that's one of my favorite viewpoints of this car. While we're in back here, I wanted to also talk about this exhaust. And something about this MPP exhaust is that they must have like tuned it just perfectly, where it's almost like a trumpet, where when you get on it, it just gets louder and louder. And I'm sure like all the aftermarket exhausts are are loud as well, but these seem to have kind of that like multiple personality thing, where you can still like be stealthy enough in tour mode, but when you're on it in sport or track mode, these things just come alive. And like I get like so many people upset, I mean, people either love or hate it, but like there's a lot of people that get upset when you're like gassing it on and you don't even have to be going fast. You could just be like revving it up in first, going like 30 or 40 miles an hour or whatever it is, and like people just get like just all upset. And like there's something about when you're coming up in the power band that it's just like there just becomes a sweet spot in the sound where, like I said, it's almost like a trumpet, where it's like it's like a climax type of thing when you're approaching red line in the power band. And I think maybe a freer flowing exhaust like an aftermarket may not get you that, where it's it'd be loud kind of like throughout the power band. But these MPPs, they really come alive up in the power band. For my purposes, these days and stuff, I don't think I'll be changing them out anytime soon, because I think they just kind of knocked it out of the park with these MPPs. And I've also like seen some videos like with the Borlas and stuff, and they're not much louder. They have like maybe a different idling sound and stuff, but these are loud. Yeah, make no mistake, as far as thinking they're stock exhaust and not being loud, because these are loud. Okay, so that's that. Alright, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the performance just with this thing in general. And I think it probably goes for any 6th gen Camaro, but more specifically this SS 1LE pack is just the performance, really. I mean, I haven't had any trouble with any Mustang GT that's come my way. I think I'm like 3-0 as far as any GT that comes up and wants to race, or any like race off a dig or a roll race on a highway. It has amazing performance, yet you don't have the supercharger, so it's still like reasonable on gas. And that's the other thing, is just the the actual practicality of it isn't completely out the window as far as being a daily driver and whatnot. Like, it still sucks to be in traffic, of course, with a V8 at any point. But at certain points in traffic, like say if it's really bad and you're on a downhill, I'll just shut off the engine and just coast. Why not? I mean, you do feel the heat from the motor if you are at a standstill. Not like at any drastic way, but you can tell there's a big V8 up in front of you, let's just say that. So anyway, getting back to the performance, this thing just has very minimal body roll. I mean, especially in track mode, you have close to, little body roll. I mean, not compared to like a supercar or race car or anything, but as far as, what I've been used to in the past. I mean, when you get into tour mode, because this does have the magnetic ride, the tour mode is a bit more of a softer ride, of course, so you're going to have probably a little bit more body roll. But, I mean, as far as like turn in and stuff like that, like you can turn this thing on a dime, upshift into third, and you can basically hammer this thing in a 90-degree angle and just blast off from there. So yeah, just the performance on this thing is great, and haven't pushed the limits at all in it. I'm kind of a mellow driver anyway, but it's just, you know, nice to know that you have it if you need it or want it. So anyway, yeah, I love the performance on this thing. It's awesome. All right, so let's also talk about the 2019 look in general. I like it, you know. I mean, on camera, it may not look as good in person, but you know how they changed it a little bit for the 20s. They moved that flow tie up into the grill again for a normal bow tie. But I think this design in general, it works with the flow tie because it's like nice and centered there. So whereas in the 20 and 21 they moved it up, and you know, you don't quite have that balance there as far as where the flow tie is in the bumper here, where it's like nice and central in the direct center here. And obviously you don't have a flow tie anymore, so yeah, just something about this look, and it's like unique too. Like I was kind of aware of the controversy on this look when I bought this car, and I still went with it just because you know, I like something different, and I don't you know, necessarily have to go with the status quo on what people think and stuff. So this black also, you know, you don't have that contrast with that black bumper. With you know, say if you got red, you would still have that black bumper. So this way, at least it's monochromatic, and it just it works as far as I'm concerned. And then you also have the better aero, I think, as far as the way it's designed, and that's something I never really heard Chevy come out with as far as like the explanation on the design. I mean, it's obviously it looks way better for the aerodynamics as far as the cooling on the brakes coming in through the front end and stuff like that. Like, it just looks way more open than the 16 through 18s. But you know, you never really got that explanation, or at least I never heard of it from Chevy. So anyway, if you know, people would like to send me that link as far as you know, if they did come out with any kind of explanation. But anyway, I just think in general it you know, it may look a little fugly from some angles, but most angles I think it looks pretty wild and pretty cool. You know, it's just one of those things that you don't see every day. So when you do see it, you're like, oh, okay, that's the new front end, and you know, you can have your opinion about it. But you know, if you know, at least it's something different, and that's undeniable. And they changed it for 20, so like these 19s are kind of going to be pretty unique as time goes on, where there's only 1 year that they look like this. So I think that's kind of a cool thing too, is that like they're, you know, their rarity or whatever. I mean, Chevys are hardly rare, right? But for being a particular year design, I think that's also very cool. So yeah, it works, especially with this 1LE pack with the splitter and the hood wrap and the dovetail spoiler and stuff. Like, it just it works in this configuration for sure. So that's what I got to say about that. All right, so we're inside now, and one thing I love also are these climate controls, and not only because they're, you know, pretty nifty in their design as far as having the fan speed here, the temperature control here, which actually you don't get in the 2SS. When it's 2SS, it's dual zone, so these are both temperatures, and the fan speed I think is up here somewhere. So this is unique with the 1SS, where you get the fan speed here, temperature control on the left here. And that's actually cool because when you're driving, like say you're doing some performance driving on some windy roads and stuff, like you don't really necessarily have time to come in here and push a button, to where it's like if you're starting to feel hot or whatever, you can just slam this all the way to the left, and if you want more fan speed, you could just, you know, twist this twist this all the way to the right, and you're good to go, and you don't really have to take your eyes off the road at all to do that, you know. So that's kind of a cool thing. I have found as a performance feature also is just the ease of use during performance driving, where you don't necessarily want to have to be taking your eyes off the road for seconds at a time to, like, you know, mess with little dials or buttons or anything like that, or go. I mean, you can also do it from the infotainment, but just the cool thing that I like about it is just the just how easy it is to use on the fly like that. So that's one little thing I wanted to point out too. So one little edit I have for my 5 things I hate video, where I kind of get into this rear bolster, is that this rear bolster I don't really care for, but it is probably up like this because of the drivetrain, where I didn't really realize that, because, you know, like, say when you just like got the interior to this, you would have this big hump on the floor anyway from the drivetrain. So I think they just incorporate this this padding here because these seats are so low on the opposite ends of the drivetrain, to where it's going to be sticking out here, so they just padded it up. So that's just a little edit from my 5 things I hate video. And yeah, so now I realize that, and just wanted to correct myself, so I get it now. I also love this infotainment. It's just super clear and HD. I think from the 19s on. 16 through 18s, the infotainment was pretty good too, but this just takes it to the next level. So you can just yeah, so this infotainment system is very cool, and I actually had to update the so yeah, the climate doesn't work when the vehicle is not running. I did an update when I first I don't know, within the first few months of getting this, and there was like a little bit of a glitch between the climate controls on the screen and down here. They always worked down with the buttons, but the climate control like would say it was off or something like that. But like, there was one of those updates within the first few months of me owning this, and then it seemed to clear that right up. So anyway, this this infotainment is really kind of clean and slick, and when you have it running with Apple CarPlay, I could just put my cell phone here and like go through my YouTube or whatever, and then you have this going on with Waze, and I would show you, but I'm using this iPhone for filming. So yeah, if like when you get your Waze up here, it like takes over the whole screen, and it's really cool to use with all the hazard notifications, and you know, you could like, you know, just play around with Waze or whatever however you like. But just having that nice HD screen, and the backup screen is really cool too. Let's see, it won't even turn on right now because the car's off, but the backup screen is really super clear with this thing, and yeah, it's just one of those cool features that I enjoy using when I'm in the car, because it just kind of like it makes you feel fancy and high tech and all that good stuff. So anyway, it's really enjoyable. I also really like the digital dash here, which is fun to use and play around with. You can do like different settings as far as you know, what you want it to look like. You can go into here and yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what it'll let me do when the car is off, but you can like change around with the display, and you know, you can get your performance info and stuff like that, and just you know, you could do your music and your nav. I mean, I don't really use the nav because I think that's more of the package deal as far as paying for that. So I just use my you just use my Waze, or you can go into your phone or whatever. So it's just really cool to use like that. And these digital gauges kind of harken back to that old Camaro set up to where, you know, they used to be kind of over here in the 5th gens and stuff like that. But then you also have these analog gauges, which are cool just to have that redundancy. Like say you have, you know, you could have your speed up here, you could have it here, and then you can also have it in your heads up display too, which this 1LE pack does have. So that's another cool option with this 1LE pack. And since I'm here, this Alcantara has held up pretty well. You just have to be careful to have just clean hands and dry hands when you're driving it. So yeah, like eating in the car and like, you know, like munching on French fries and then going to turn and stuff like that is like a big no-no. And like even like say I have a drink, I'll have a cold drink here, and you'll have condensation on your hand whereas you don't really want to like touch it with wet hands, so you almost have to like, you know, dry them off on your leg and then wait till the water evaporates and then shift. So there's kind of a little bit of a drag as far as that, like, you know, whereas leather you wouldn't have such an issue. But if you do keep these surfaces clean, it does hold up. So just word to the wise on that. Yeah, don't be eating in your car. No eating in this car, that's for sure. You know, and I usually only get away with a frappuccino. That's like the worst I'll do in here. That has to be, you know, nice and secured at all times. And otherwise, if I get like some Wendy's or whatever, I'm getting out on that bench and eating it, or wherever I am. I'm just gonna sit on the curb because yeah, I'm not trying to make this a fast food restaurant in here. So anyway, that's one more thing. All right, one more thing as I am thinking about it up here, and I don't really mind you showing my license plate at this point. I could give a shit, but so yeah, I would just suggest to get one of these tow hook license plate mounts for your Camaro, or for any car for that matter, if you have the option, because just the you know, the dealer plate, you know, they drill into that front, and then it does kind of upset the look, especially of this 19 design. So I just see, you know, I see guys with the license plate in the dash, and that looks horrible, and it just you know, it kind of saves the look as far as these 19s go, to have this license plate mount a little off to the side, so you still have the front end look, so it doesn't completely take away from it. And then you're also you know, you're also legit driving down the road, so you don't have a reason to get pulled over or anything like that. So that's one thing I would suggest as I'm remembering it. And then for the back, I also would suggest, this is like my one of my few mods, quote unquote, to this car, is you know, these skull license plate frames I got on Amazon, and then I got some spikes for these bottom screw mounts that don't screw into anything. So I actually had to well, I painted these spikes first with some flat black, and then I put them through the plate on the back, and then I had to grind them down to not have the bolts be sticking out into the car. So I made them flush with the license plate frame, so it wouldn't be sticking out or anything like that. But yeah, it's just kind of one of those things. If you have like a modded car and just some regular old license plate frame, you know, there's just an opportunity to make it a little bit more cooler if you have a frame like this. And I'm not really big on the personalized plates. I'm not original enough to have a funny catchphrase or anything like that, but I think just to enhance the look on these cars, it's important to not forget those little things. And then that way you'll also be legit as far as getting pulled over and stuff. And a few other points is, yeah, I still haven't gotten the windows tinted because, I usually just drive at night. And it's actually funner to drive at night anyway, just because there's less cars on the road and just stop and go traffic in this thing sucks. So I keep the windows clear, and then that way I'm not hassled. Because say if you are speeding or whatever, and the cop doesn't quite catch you in the moment, but say people will call in because this thing's loud, right? Or they'll just hear it down the road or something, but they won't catch you speeding at that moment, with the gun or whatever. They can always just pull you over for the window tint. So it's kind of just like one of those things, is just not giving them an excuse. And then also the side skirts I have yet to put on as well. I'm still not super sold on the look of them, especially since I like this rear tire look. I like how the bottom of the car meets this rear tire. I did finally put these rock guards in, which I highly suggest you do. I love these rock guards, these Z01 add-on rock guards, to where they just look good. I thought they were going to stick out more and kind of upset the look, but they really don't. And yeah, here are the front ones. And while I'm down here, I forgot to talk about these tires, these Yokohamas. I really like them. They have a lot less road noise than the Goodyear Eagle F1s that these came with, these Advan Apex Yokohamas. So, and then they have some really cool tread on them too. Kind of a different pattern on the outside versus the inside of the tire. So there's a lot less road noise, and they're a lot more streetable. They don't kick up as many rocks. So yeah, less rock chippage and stuff. When I do have some rock chips, as our roads have been getting a lot of work done to them around here. So there was this one time I just drove through this total mess of a highway project, where this street sweeper was actually I don't know, he must have been drunk or something, because he was actually sweeping dirt onto the street. So it was one of these middle of the night disasters that I happened to drive through. So that's where I think some rock chippage came from. But in general, these tires, one thing is that the traction control does kick on pretty early with these different tires, because these are a little bit more floatier than the Goodyears, which I think the traction control was designed with. So whereas the Goodyears were a lot more flatter and a little bit more predictable for the computer, these Yokohamas are floatier, so the traction control will kick on earlier. So that's one thing I have noticed, that say you stab it and on a turn or whatever, these things, the traction control is pretty aggressive with these new tires. So just word to the wise on that. So, but I think overall I really like them, and I look forward to the longevity of these things versus the Goodyears, and just the more streetable of a tire they are, with being able to drive probably a lot more safer in the rain and stuff like that. So the sidewall, there was actually more of a sidewall with the Goodyears, where I think it was a little bit maybe a quarter or half inch more sidewall, where these are a little bit more rounded off. And I was barely able to get these the logos on and stuff like that with these, because I measured off the Goodyears before the Yokohama showed up, and I was barely able to make it happen. I had to cut a nice strip on the bottom and on the top, I think, just to make it happen. So I think for next time I'm going to go with a little bit skinnier of a lettering, because as you can see, like, this is probably getting a little too beat up for my taste, but it is what it is at this point, right? That's my catchphrase, I think. Is what it is. And then just the dovetail spoiler too, while we're here. I think that's the way to go as far as spoilers on these Camaros, where the normal SS has the like pedestal style spoiler, where there's a gap where you could stick your finger in, and it's separated from the car a little bit, where this style, it kind of harkens back to like the first gen Camaros, to where they had those a little bit pointier of a dovetail, but it was still a dovetail. And so yeah, it just kind of, it keeps that classic Camaro look with this type of spoiler here. So just another thing I think is cool. So, and these taillights, I'm really liking these taillights. They're growing on me a lot as I see more like 16 through 18 taillights, and they're kind of small, and they're like more squarish, where these kind of like, they have that like that almost Corvette look, as far as I think it was like the 5th gen Corvettes, maybe even the 4th gen Corvettes had that, like just those circle tail lights, to where this kind of harkens back to that. And I think they kept them basically through the 6th gen Corvettes as well, but yeah, it's kind of just like that classic Chevy tail light thing going on, yet with the futuristic LEDs and stuff like that, which are super bright. So kind of a nice throwback to that era, but also making it futuristic looking as well. So okay, all right, so here with the actual window sticker of this guy, I'm going to try this again here and make it a little more concise. So you got the base price of the Camaro SS, which is $37,000, and you add $7 grand on top of that for the SS 1lE pack, and it comes with all this stuff: wheels, MagnaRide, Recaro seats, electronic limited slip exhausts, brakes, heads-up display, spoiler, hood wrap, front splitter, suede shift knob, and run flats. I hear it also comes with stiffer sway bars and bushings and springs for the suspension setup. So yeah, with that you have the grand total of 45 grand, and I was able to get it for 42.6, so 2,500 off this, making it out the door at 48.6. And then you add in the interest for the car loan. By the time I was done, it was 50 grand. So 50 grand for this 2019 Camaro 1SS 1lE, and that's basically the best price Camaro for what you get. Like, when you move up to the ZL1, it's basically you're in the 60s, I believe. I mean, depending on what kind of deal you can get, to where all you're basically getting is you're getting a different wheel and tire setup. I think you're getting wider wheels, but what else are you going to get? You're getting the 2SS options, which is like, it was like $5,000 more for the 2SS options. And that, like, I don't know, just as far as like my uses for it, it didn't seem as practical. The only thing I was really thinking about using the 2SS was for the sunroof. And as you can see here, check this out. If you have the sunroof with this car, you do not get these roof indentations which are for the aero, and you know, it kind of ties the whole look together, with a reverse mohawk aerodynamic here. So you don't have that with the sunroof. So that was the only real reason I would have gotten the 2SS option, which I did have the option of getting, but you know, like $5,000 for that, you can pretty much keep it, because you know, you add that 5 grand on top of 55 grand, or on top of 5 or 50, you get 55 grand, and then you're just, you know, you're just starting to spend way too much for what you're getting, and that's how they get you with all those options, right? So, you know, minus the sunroof and like the interior lighting, which I think is cool. I'm getting some laser projector lighting, and you just stick it right in the ashtray, and it's like 20 bucks on Amazon. You have like lasers all over the place in the inside if you want. So that suits my needs, and I'll try and like do a little feature on that. Okay, so the ZL1 obviously comes with the supercharger, but besides the wheel and tire setup on top of that, and then the 2SS options, you know, what you're basically paying 20 grand for a supercharger at that point. And as far as being the Goldilocks setup, as far as what you're buying and what you're paying for, the 1SS 1LE is the way to go, as far as just the best bang for your buck, you know, while you're getting the performance stuff. You're not supercharged, you're NA still, so you're getting better gas mileage, and you don't have that front end weight from the supercharger, which Randy Probitz, however you say his last name, he commented on, as far as feeling that front weight on the Z01, whereas the 1LE is the handling all-star of the bunch of the Camaros. I mean, minus the Z01 1LE, but then you're starting to get into those coilover suspension, and it being a way harsher ride. You don't have the magnetic ride, and yeah, it's just like a monster price tag, right? For the monster of a car it is, which it would be, you know, great to have that as well. So anyway, just some thoughts on this 1SS 1LE. I don't know if you can barely see it with all the glare coming in now, but as I'm finishing up the video, I just wanted to point that out, that, you know, you're just getting the best bang for your buck here with this guy. Alright, and just don't forget to like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Just looking to get some good content coming out there. We're going to do some guitar stuff, maybe even some martial arts stuff. I'm a jiu-jitsu guy, Muay Thai, MMA, have a few cage fights under my belt, so we could get into all that as time progresses, but I wanted to get some Camaro content out there as well. And I love the car, and I paid it off, so it's one of those cars I want to keep and not just get rid of. And yeah, it kind of sucks that Z Outlaw had to trade his Camaro in, and you know, just going through the whole COVID mess. And that's kind of a warning to all you modders out there, is to just pay the damn car off first and then mod. You know, first things first, right? So let's get her done and get that sucker paid off. Get that interest rate or get those interest payments as minimal as possible. With the year and a half I took to pay the car off, I only had to pay like $1,000 interest. So, and that's still too much, right? Because that's free money for those banks, right? So anyway, let's just take care of our wallets and still have fun doing it, you know. And there's plenty of fun to be had without modding the crap out of this Camaro. So anyway, take it for what it is. Like, subscribe, notify, and we'll see you next time. All right, peace.